When Barry Asmus and I say, well, nations must produce their own prosperity, an immediate response is, well, we can't do that, or how can we do that, or how can nations do that? They're not doing that, they remain in poverty. But our response is, if you look back 250 years in the history of the world, all nations in the world were poor. On the cover of our book, we have a color coding so that the green nations are wealthy. That would include Australia, Northern Europe, Japan, South Korea, Canada, the United States. They are the high per capita income countries. The middle income countries are blue. That's much of Latin America, China, Russia, middle income. Red countries like India are poor, and then the dark red are very poor. And the thing we point out in our talks on economic development in poor nations is that if you wind the clock back 250 years or even 200 years, every nation on the map would be dark red, because every nation was poor. And there were a few wealthy nobles and people in royal families, and a few wealthy merchants and ship owners, perhaps. But most of the people had a very subsistence kind of existence, a very menial existence. And suddenly, beginning about 1770 in Great Britain, their factories started to become more productive, and their farms started to become more productive, and they produced many more goods and services. What happened? There was an industrial revolution, but it occurred within the context of a culture whose values had been shaped by the Protestant Reformation and by teachings of the Bible. And then other countries in Northern Europe and North America followed this example, and countries grew and became prosperous. And other countries did not. Now, how did that happen? And we list the factors that led to that. But I would also like to point out that even in the 20th century, for instance, Japan was a very poor agricultural economy in 1900. And then it grew to the end of the 1900s, the end of the 20th century. It became the second most powerful economy in the world by manufacturing many high-quality goods and cars and electronics. South Korea in 1950, which is quite recent, South Korea was poorer than most countries in sub-Saharan Africa, and one of the poorest countries in the world. But South Korea today is the 12th richest country in the world, and it's done that again by increasing manufacturing of high-quality goods. China has produced, of course, small manufactured products. Chile in South America has increased its prosperity amazingly by specializing in growing fruits and vegetables for export, especially to North American markets. So various countries have done this in the past, and we're encouraging the factors in this book. We're saying there are factors within poor nations that can be modified if heroic leaders will actually modify those factors and lead a country toward greater prosperity. It's not a mystery. It can be done. It has been done. It's the only thing that has ever worked.